Hey, it's just yoga friends. It's Colette here. And guess what? It is time for another IJY Connects classroom. So tonight we've got a really special edition for you. I think you're going to really enjoy it. It's just now barely 7 o'clock or even a few seconds before. So as people are starting to log in, I'm going to give you a little update of what's going on. I think most of you know because you're on my Facebook page or our newsletter that we are doing the 7th annual It's Just Yoga Health and Fitness Festival on Sunday, April 25th at Lake Eola. And when we do our yoga festival, as most of you know, we also do our IJY magazine. So it is coming back. This will be our 4th edition. That was my cell phone, sorry. So here is our first edition, and then our second, and then I even have our 3rd edition. And what's so exciting about this is that tomorrow we're going to be launching our IJY Connects cover contest. So you too could be on the cover of IJY magazine. All you have to do tomorrow at 5 is go to our website, IJY Connects, or to our Facebook group, and we'll tell you how you can enter. And then we're also, even if you're a runner-up and don't maybe make the cover, you also could get in our Look Who's Doing Yoga page. Okay, and that's people from all over Central Florida. So what you're going to do is you're going to enter, you're going to send us your picture of what represents yoga to you in Central Florida. So that's tomorrow at 5. We're going to be going live with the IJY magazine cover page. So now tonight, our speaker is going to be talking about being your own BFF. So for those of you out there, I see a bunch of people already checked in. Have you ever been told you're your own worst critic? Are you harder on yourself maybe than you are on others? Go ahead and send me some emojis, send me some love, send me some smiles if you agree with that statement. And if you don't agree, tell me you don't agree. But I think most of us tend to have a little bit of negative self-talk. I know one time I was watching an Oprah show and she's like, for the next 24 hours, I want you to have no negative self-talk. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. I'm pretty confident. I like myself. And guys, I can make it an hour. So we're going to work on that tonight. And tonight we have Miss Rhonda Morales. Rhonda is a licensed medical health counselor. And I've known Rhonda, Rhonda, I think I've known you for about 10 years now. She was my yoga instructor at RDV. And she also runs a group called Emotionally Fit Coaching. So tonight, Rhonda is going to talk to you and tell you how to be your own BFF and your own best friend. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Suzanne. I see you're out there. We got quite a few people saying hello. And yes, you guys agree that we can be our own worst critic. So I'm going to take Rhonda up from the green room and bring her in and give her just a second to pop up here.
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Rhonda. So how are you this evening, dear?
I am doing great. I'm ready to dive into this good topic so that we can walk away after tonight's conversation feeling more appreciative of who we are instead of that inner critic going crazy up there in our head telling us all the things that we're not. I hope to make some progress with everybody's thought process. And we're walking away from tonight's conversation feeling more appreciative about who we are.
Love it. Now, Rhonda, I'm going to ask you, because I know you and I were testing this earlier. Can you see some of the comments people are making?
No, I cannot.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test, and right now, just send you a real quick hi.
I can see the hi. I can see Colette's hi.
So I'm going to take those messages and go back and forth. So as people are asking questions tonight, I will interpret. So I got to be good at that. But I'm going to go ahead and hide my.
I just lost audio. Are you, I lost audio.
Can you hear me now?
Well, I can't.
Okay.
I can't see
Go ahead
anybody, and I can't see any comments. So I'm going to presume that I'm talking to people. I know Colette left mid-sentence, so hopefully I'm talking to some people out there. So yes, I am looking forward to our conversation tonight, and that's exactly the spirit that I wanted to gather in. More of a conversation form where you bring your thoughts, your your comments and thoughts and even your questions. Yes, bring them so that we can have a conversation together about becoming our own best friend. Because as Colette mentioned, we can often be our own worst enemy. And I know what's frequently said as well is, who's in your way? We're in our way, right? We need to move out of our own way in order to get to wherever it is that we're trying to go. So again, it's all focused on the negativity of how we see ourselves, criticize ourselves, and quite frankly, and judge ourselves. So I'm going to be scrolling to see if there's anything that comes through, because Colette is going to be our transcriber tonight for any of your comments, your thoughts, your questions. Please feel free to offer those, because I want this very much to be engaged, and I want this very much to be a conversation, just very low key, just women talking to women, women empowering and encouraging women. That's what I'm all about. So, why, I mean, I've already touched base as to why, why we want to, or what's a good reason for becoming our best friend, our BFF. I truly believe my clients oftentimes come in disliking themselves. It's hard. It's hard to live a content, happy, purpose filled life when we don't like who we're dragging around with us all day long, right? So it's hard to feel content and feel like we're living that happy life if the narrative up here is we're not enough, we'll never be enough, and what we're doing isn't enough. So it's hard to live a happy, fulfilled life. What I find is that transformation, if you will, of becoming our BFF is really the transformation from inside ourselves out. So it's a process of transformation inside that then helps to express to the outside, our audience, that we do like our life. If we do like us, if we like and appreciate who we are, then we're probably going to reflect that in our mood, in our behaviors, and certainly our audience is going to notice that we're just probably a happier human being. So, on that note, yes, as Colleen had mentioned, or Colette had mentioned, I have been a licensed mental health counselor for over 15 years in private practice. And I have been a yoga teacher and fitness teacher. Uh, okay, you can do the math, for 40 plus years. Yes, I am that old. So I started out teaching classes back when STEP was introduced. If anybody remembers STEP classes, does anybody remember going to STEP classes? Anybody remember leg warmers? That's when I started teaching fitness classes. And then that navigated me to eventually just teaching yoga classes at RGB Sportsplex, which I've truly, truly loved that journey of yoga. So I'm not seeing, oh, here we go. Here's some. So as I scroll, Jeanette wants to know if happiness is an attitude. Oh, Jane Fonda. Yes, back in the Jane Fonda day. I don't know if I disappear when I scroll, but you'll obviously hear my voice. So I have to scroll, and I go out of screen when I see your comments. Is it an attitude? That's a very good question. Happiness, I really kind of like to use the word content, which is more of an inner world, an inner climate. That's just how we feel about, and it's not necessarily a fleeting feeling. It's more of a attitude about life. So we can have a fleeting moment of being happy, and that's usually externally driven. So I'm happy to be here with you, right? So that's an external. I'm happy to be sitting here and talking with you about becoming your BFF. So, but I have felt content in my day is more of uh, an inner climate that is generated from inside. And we're going to get to how do we get to that inner climate of contentment. We're going to get to those in those 3 points that I think Colette mentioned in one of the posts. Number one, I'll just start with self-acceptance. The 3 steps that I've outlined are really not in priority. They're just 3 good ways in which to walk towards becoming your own best friend. So self-acceptance. Does anybody have, as I look down the comment thread, does anybody have any ideas as to what self-acceptance is? Any ideas? Are you struggling maybe with self-acceptance? And the reason I bring that up, as perhaps you put some comments in the chat, is because how often do we know what other people in our audience, we know their favorite colors, we know maybe what their favorite foods are, their favorite drink, their favorite whatever, and yet we don't know what ours are. What's our favorite food? What's our favorite color? What's our favorite flower? So those are just some small little examples, but how often are we more externally focused than we are in our own being, in our own self? So anybody struggling with what that means, that self-acceptance? Suzanne says, liking yourself. Yes.
No,
Liking yourself. Okay.
no,
Yes.
no.
Liking yourself and even appreciating yourself. So we can like ourselves, but sometimes there's a difference between liking and tolerating, correct? So being able to really appreciate those special things about us, because a lot of times we want to fit in. We want to fit in and look like everybody else. But you know what? The reality is that we all have a little bit of a different flavor. And to be self-accepting is to express that special little different flavor that is uniquely you. I remember, I'll tell you a little story. You should not should on yourself. Oh yeah, there's lots of shoulds. Oh, I have gone away. I can no longer. Oh, there I see myself now. One of the things that I remember as a kid, and a lot of our lack of self appreciation, a lot of it comes from either a negative relationship or maybe childhood. And I've always been a very expressive person. I mean, I have emotions from A to Z and back again. I came from a very stoic family. And so everything was just very almost monotone, and you didn't get too excited. Yeah. So you get the drift. I was expressive, so I was the odd person out. And I recently watched a football game with my mom and dad. I watched the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, they went on to win the Super Bowl. I was so excited because I'm texting my cousin in Green Bay, and in Indiana. She's a huge Green Bay fan, and we're texting each other. We're on opposite. It's a friendly. It's a friendly competition, if you will. So I'm excited about Tampa Bay. My cousin Candy is excited about um, Green Bay, and I'm and touchdowns. I'm like, woo, yeah, oh my gosh. My dad says to me, Rhonda, you are so loud. You are making my ears hurt. And I tell you what, I'm 62, and I zoomed back into my childhood, and it was affirmation that I've always been extra, right? So that's part of who I am from a stoic family. I had to get used to expressing extra or just being an emotionally expressive person. That was a hard road for me because I wanted to please my family. I wanted to please my parents. I wanted to fit in, but uh, but a part of me, a very big part of me, is an expressive personality. And it's hard when you just keep putting a lid on a personality and saying that's just too much, that's just too much. And hearing that comment um, not very long ago reminded me of that challenge that I had as a kid of being self-expressive and how far I've come. I'm so grateful that I express myself, fully. And I've come to understand that if that is offensive, then you're not going to be in my tribe, and we're just not in everybody's tribe, right? But anyway, that's just a little backstory about self-acceptance and some of the challenge, quite frankly, of overcoming some of those hurdles when perhaps you were told that you were just off the charts in an area where you, and that's where of course those statements, those messages, they start to form. Oh, you're not good enough, right? You don't fit in. And boy, do those fester and fertilize and grow into little gremlins. So let me take a pause. I'm going to look at the chat and see, have any of you had to overcome maybe some past experiences where, you know, uh, being you, being authentically you was difficult, where you had to really overcome some resistance to actually express the authentic you. So anybody have that experience? I'll take a pause. I'll get a drink of water. Oh, okay. Let's see. Joy is what she tries to achieve. Absolutely. Tries to please others first, and joy is what you try to achieve. Well, that's a good goal. And pleasing others, Nancy, sometimes we put so much energy into pleasing others that we don't show up authentically ourselves. We dish out the servings to other people, but we don't necessarily bring back some of that goodness to ourselves. So joy is a wonderful joy to ourselves. So that's another big part of self-acceptance. So being able to appreciate some of the idiosyncrasies that may not fit in, whether it's your family of origin or fit in with other people, but being able to appreciate, sometimes I remember back in school, it wasn't necessarily cool for girls to be smart. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad geeks and nerds are ruling today, that it's fun to be I'm a neuroscience geek. It's great that, it's okay to be a geek and a nerd about things today, or a physiology nerd, right? So it's just a process of receiving the unique design that you are, and being joyous, as Natasha is saying, being joyous about that unique design, and really courageously stepping into that space. Brene Brown, who I just adore, she's a wonderful author that talks a lot about vulnerability. She talks about living small, shrinking into a smaller space in order to fit in, right? So that is not living that's not showing and living your authentic self. That's shrinking into a smaller space to make everybody else more comfortable, than you standing in a space that's authentically you, right? So, whatever that is, uh, we want to live and stand in that space and not shrink back, because what happens when we shrink back and we shrink away from who we are? Our brain knows that. What happens to confidence when we're not living authentically? What I mean, confidence is going to just drain away, isn't it? The message is those little gremlins that I was talking about, those gremlins of you're not good enough. Those then get fertilized when we don't step into and live our true self. And we're going to be courageous to step out and live our true self when we appreciate, when we honor, when we value who that person is, even though it might look different than somebody else, right? Maybe even somebody else in your circle, somebody else in your family. Is it okay to be different? Live your authentic life and still like people that are different. I sure hope so. Oh my goodness. Lots of my friends are different from me. And that makes a beautiful tribe. When we can love each other for who we are and let each other express who you are. Uh, Whoops. Colette is coming in and out. All right. I'm not sure what that was about. Okay. Moving on then. So let me go down the Colette. Okay. I don't see any more comments. So, but I want to take a pause here before I move on to my second point. I want to take a pause and check in with you. Type into the chat, and Colette is relaying your messages, your thoughts to me, because I can't see them on my phone. um, Anything left unsettled? Maybe questions in regards to accepting yourself? Any questions? Any thoughts? Any comments about self acceptance? Living small versus living authentically, right? That's part of self acceptance. Anything about that? I'm going to just take another look. All right. I'm not seeing anything, but I wants to know. Okay. Wants to know how parents affect us. Oh boy. That's a whole session all in itself. I say that because that's my upbringing. I had parents that did the best they could, but you know what? We can only give out what we have, right? So, as I mentioned earlier, that my parents were very stoic. They were raised primarily by very stoic people. So, emotionality was just not part of their day to day. So we give out as our parents did, maybe as we are parents now or will be perhaps in the future. We can only give from what we have inside of us. So we can only teach what we know. We can only role model what we know. That helps us to actually then do perhaps some forgiveness work as adults when certain chapters have been left out of our growing. We can certainly blame our parents for not teaching us certain things, for self-value, self-acceptance, not hearing the praise of you're so smart, you do math so well, you dance so well, I can't believe how well you sing. We need nurture, we need affirmation as little humans. Not all little humans get the nurture, and that has a profound effect on our spirits as we grow, on our personalities, on the belief that we have in ourselves. A profound effect. As a matter of fact, the studies show us that what we call emotional neglect that is a branch of trauma. That is definitely a branch that we identify now as trauma. So there's a lot of kids that get fed and clothed, and they might live in really nice houses, they might eat good food, but if they are not emotionally nurtured, you know, that has a tremendous ill effect on their development, both personality and otherwise. So I hope that answers that question. But that is a deep, deep well, my friend, very deep well. Natasha says, the more I love myself, the more I love others. Yes. And setting boundaries, that's another one to go back to hit upon. The more we appreciate and love ourselves, you're absolutely right. It's from that well, right? We can't give out what we don't have. So if we don't like ourselves, our insides very much, then it's rather challenging to really love other people as well. Now we can do a good job at knowing what those actions look like and do those actions. But authentic love is going to come from our own wellspring of loving us and loving our lives and living our purpose, living authentically. That is a beautiful fountain from which showing love to other people flows from. So a lot of times, you know, many of my clients that don't like themselves, I mean, it can actually be worse than that. It can be worse than not liking themselves. They have a hard time loving other people, or they go to the extreme where they love everybody. And that's really more of an action based love than a feeling, experiential connectedness kind of love. Because we can look like we love other people, the behaviors, the actions represent loving other people. But is that coming from our heart, or is that coming from our head? I do this, I'll do this for them because it's the right thing to do, might be coming from our head versus an experiential, connected type of love that comes from the heart. Any questions about that? Because hadn't planned on going there, but that's a really good place, you know, as far as love, loving self, loving others, and the effect of that. Any comments about that? Because I'm happy to address that as well. That actually might be a whole other little segment in the future. Open yourself to humor. Boy, is that a doozy. Let me hit boundaries before I get to humor, though. And boundaries are a really good way of showing self-love. And that I love boundary work. Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite topics. Boundaries is a wonderful way of honoring and valuing self. And we are the gatekeeper, quite frankly, of keeping toxins out, right? So we think about, we're going to keep toxins out of our mouths. We're not going to eat this. We're not going to drink that, because we want to keep this body healthy and free of pollution. And we can go there with cosmetics. We can go there with shampoo, right? There's so much right now in our in our in our reading, in our understanding about the toxicity of a lot of the products that go in our body, whether they're cosmetic things or food things. Think about the GMOs and all of that stuff, right? So we identify that stuff as pollution, as toxic. Well, you and I, we know that people can be toxic too, right? Absolutely, yes. So boundaries help us guard ourselves from people that are toxic, and that gets to be an interesting dance. Number one, if people have never employed boundaries before, and we go back to childhood again, and just let me just ask a question. I did not grow up with boundaries. We were not allowed to have boundaries. What dad said was what happened. So is anybody else familiar in growing up from your childhood without boundaries? If so, boundary work can be pretty difficult. Anybody? Let me look in the chat here. Anybody? Natasha says, ask, oh, about setting boundaries. Okay, I don't see anybody chatting about that. If you would like to mention that at any time, then that's fine. Setting boundaries can be it's like a skill, and like any skill, it's going to take practice, right? And takes courage too. And I think Jeanette mentioned humor. Humor is a great medicine. We all know that. Humor is a great medicine. And I would circle back to us and say how delicious it is to be able to laugh at ourselves, right? We can take ourselves way too seriously. And that's where that chatter, that negative chatter comes in. And then we've lost our sense of humor. And yeah, and taking ourselves way too seriously is definitely, that's harsh, right? If we can't see the humor, if we can't make mistakes, that's a whole other topic too. I love that one as well. Making mistakes, giving ourselves permission to make mistakes and grow. That's a doozy. Love that subject matter as well. But yes, being able to find humor, take a pause, breathe, context, and maybe find the humor in a situation, laugh at our misstep, laugh at ourselves, because we're human, we're going to make mistakes, and some of our mistakes really are kind of funny. All right, let me look. Boundaries are codependent problem. Yes, there's lots to say about codependency, that is for sure. But I want to segue into um, not taking ourselves so seriously and talk to you about our second point, which is trash talk. That's what that's what I call this negative narrative that goes on in our heads, the trash talk. We trash talk ourselves. If we could only get, I think as Colette mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, she didn't last an hour when with Oprah's challenge of the next 24 hours, don't say anything negative to yourself. It's very hard. And if we could only get a little script of maybe what 2 hours of dialogue sounds like, we'd probably really be surprised. Unless we're in the process of growing that awareness. And then that's actually the key, to grow your awareness of what you're saying to yourself, right? That is absolutely step number one, because we can't fix or adjust or modify what we're not aware of, right? So growing awareness to that trash talk. One of the I guess the filters that I like to use is, would you say that to a friend? Oftentimes, if not most of the time, the answer, of course, is no. Okay, then how can you reframe that and say that differently to yourself? Because the brain is listening, and the brain is hearing messages, not discerning messages, but hearing your messages and then responding chemically. Hello. Okay. So there's a chemical reaction going on with all of the messages that we're feeding this brain. Imagine, uh, imagine our dialogue spewed onto another human being, if the trash talk is pretty readily. They're probably not going to be our friend. And if we could see the damage that our words are doing to that person on their insides, to their spirit, to their confidence, to their little soul, we would be appalled at the damage that our words would be doing on another human being. And the unfortunate truth is that we really, if we're going to get serious and be kind to ourselves, appreciate who we are, appreciate the design that we have, we really do in that process need to examine and grow aware of what we're saying to ourselves. I'm going to hit the pause button and look at any comments that might be coming. Be okay with disappointing others. Okay, I think that's probably related to our prior conversation. So eliminating the trash talk. Okay, something fun. I like to call my inner critic Hilda. I don't think we have any Hildas in the crowd. And I mean that not disrespectfully at all. I just think Hilda is kind of a fun name. And back to someone else's point about finding humor. I love to find humor. And sometimes when my Hilda is just going off the hinge, I would say, Hilda, you need to go. I'll say, I don't know why I say this, but you need to go sit in the back seat. I don't know where that comes from. But I want to remove her and then reframe whatever it is that I'm struggling with, whatever it is that negative narrative that's coming up for me. I need to reframe that. How would I say that to a friend? How would I say that to moi with some self-compassion? Self-compassion, let me just pause there. Anybody have any challenges with self-compassion? We can oftentimes dole it out to other people. Empathy, compassion, understanding. But sometimes that's really hard for us to give to ourselves. Self-compassion, it's like others' compassion is okay. Self-compassion, I don't do that. So let me take a look at the comments. Self-compassion, is that something, Anita, when her thoughts are ignored, she feels like she is nothing. Yes, that is very, 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 feels like nothing. Another word that I like to use when your thoughts are ignored. I'm not sure the context for that, but the word that I oftentimes use with my clients is invisible, and nobody likes to feel invisible. In our core, in our design, we want to be seen and valued and heard, right? So when we feel like we're invisible, then all of those other things are not happening. We're not seen, we're not valued, we're not being appreciated for who we are. I understand exactly what you're saying with that, and that doesn't feel very good. So that takes us back to, I see you, right? That's when we become our own best friend and we say, they don't see me, they don't value me. It starts from the inside. I see you. I value you. I heard what you said, and your idea is actually a really good idea. It's too bad that they didn't hear it because it was a really good idea. So it starts, that's a really good kind of pivot point where just because they don't see us or just because they don't value us, that doesn't mean we can't start doing some of this new work, new thinking, stepping into that new friendship with self, because we can see it and value it and appreciate it, right? I hope that gives you some hope. I hope that gives you some new thoughts on what to do because we all find ourselves at times in places like that where we're just not heard, we're not seen. So it's a lot of, it's not unusual, I'll put it that way. And empathetic can be a gift, but not at our own expense. Yes, that takes us right back, Nancy, to codependency again, right? When we have empathy for everybody else, but we don't have any empathy for ourselves. All right. The third step towards becoming our own BFF that I've listed in the outline are choices that are aligned with our authentic self. What does that mean? You know, um, we have to get to know who is this person on the inside. And there's a lot of noise and voices that are vying for our attention. It's that quiet time. Maybe that time in yoga where we're in Shavasana. Maybe it's that time when we're in a pose and we're just breathing. Maybe it's that walk in nature. Maybe it's just meditating before you start your day or sometime during your day. But it's that quiet time when you're connecting with yourself. You're not listening to all of the thoughts and fireworks going on up here, but you're noticing the rest of your body, and the rest of your body has a language too. And you're listening to the rest of you. Then we can start asking ourselves some very important questions that the tendency is to ask everybody else, right? Take the toll. Anybody guilty of taking a toll? What should I be when I grow up? What should I do this weekend? Should I date this person or not date this person, right? We take these polls looking for external validation. The person that knows the answer, I mean, it's nice to corroborate. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to get feedback. It's nice to get validation. Absolutely. Not knocking that off the plate at all. What I am emphasizing, though, is what does this person think? As you look inside, ask you, what do you feel like doing this weekend? Should you continue to date this person? Is this person really my friend? Asking those questions by getting quiet and noticing what is your knowing. No one can tell us what our knowing is because it comes from inside each and every one of us. Knowing our knowing, which is the same thing as what is your truth? We can't learn our truth by asking somebody else what their truth is. We have to check in. What's my truth? And be courageous enough then to live our truth. That's authenticity. That's living in congruence with self. And that helps us then, this knowing our truth, trusting our truth, helps us then to make choices that are aligned with that truth. I can't tell you how many attorneys I have had for clients. So they have gone on to law school. Maybe that's what we do as a family. Maybe it's because, well, that life looks like what I'm wanting. And then, the law school takes a very long time, a lot of time and a lot of money. And a lot of times it looks good, but they haven't really checked in. Is that really what I want to do? What does that entail besides maybe driving a nice car and having a pretty house? What else does that take from me? What else is involved? And they get to the practice of law and they go, whoa, oh, this is what practicing law means. And I'm just using this as an example, as a template. I'm not picking on attorneys at all, but it's just an example. But what happens is that there becomes a realization that this is a great job. It gives me maybe great visibility. I have a sweet looking office. I make money to take care of my family, but I hate my job. Now, again, I'm not picking on attorneys. It's just an industry that I pulled out. We could say the same about marketing. I used to be a CPA. I used to be a CPA in Boca Raton doing trust and estate tax returns. Can you see? Well, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's what we could do as an attorney, as an accountant, as a person in marketing, whatever it is. We can do the work, but it doesn't feel aligned. We don't have any passion for it. We're not we're not excited about who we're going to serve today. It's just it's a means to an end. Anybody else that's kind of been on that journey in their lives that has worked or maybe changed jobs or maybe still working, doing something that's just not, it's a choice that one made that's not aligned anymore. And we do change, don't we? We change, we grow to know self. And that's what I did in my 30s. I realized, oh my goodness, I cannot do estate and trust taxes until I get to be in my whatever years. And I went back to school after figuring out, knowing my knowing and what I'm designed to do. I went back to school uh, hesitantly. Yes, I did. I'd already been in college for 5 years. 2 more years of college did not look appealing, but I can say I do not look back. I am doing exactly what I'm designed and love and am passionate to do. And I'm grateful for having the courage to go back and get the extra education to do what I'm aligned to do. Now I am passionate. I don't dread going to work. Let me pause, look at the comments again, see if anybody has anything that they are. Jeanette, let's see. Have to, have to manage empathy. Okay, not sure. Manage empathy. I'll have to circle back to that because I'm not, maybe you could, in the chat, maybe you could ask that question. I'm not sure what your question is about empathy, and I think that was from Natasha. So, choices that are aligned uh, from your authentic self, and that's from our careers, what we do, as well as who we marry, who we date, who we live with, who our friends are, um, living an authentic life, being able to step into that space that is authentically us as we appreciate the authentic us that's stepping into that space. And we're courageous. We're happy to be there. We're proud to be there. We're proud to be who we are and share from the heart that authentic person that we are. I'm going to look at comments again, probably get another drink of water and see if there's a clarification. It looked like an answer or a question from Natasha, and I just want to make sure that I'm getting the question right. Um, Empathy is can be a gift. Oh, but not at our own expense. Right? Was there, Wendy? What are you grateful for? Says she is grateful for you. Oh, well, that's nice. Well, Wendy, thank you. I am grateful for all of you coming to the conversation tonight. I hope that it has been of service to you and that you have some new ideas that were not necessarily either thoughts that you had before or that we planted some seeds for you to consider on how to become your own BFF. And while I just do a little summary, please, we have a few more minutes. Please clarify anything that I've not addressed that maybe I missed as I'm scrolling. And I'm happy to come back and address anything that was not. And I still don't know the empathy question. I'm still not sure what the question was there. So big 3 steps to becoming your own BFF was number 1. We talked about self-acceptance. You don't have to be the carbon copy of somebody else because the reality is you can't be the carbon copy to somebody else because you are beautifully you. Show up being your beautiful little self. Show up in that space and just relax on the inside and show others who you truly are. You're the only one. You're the snowflake. Here in Florida, you're the snowflake, the unique snowflake. You know, one of the things that I wanted to mention also, a lot of people will, instead of being their authentic self or accepting who they are, they will find other ways to find acceptance, that they will find maybe self-love. It's kind of a skewed definition of self-love, but I don't love myself and I'm not content with my life, so I'll just go make more money. Okay. I'll go buy a new car. I'll go work on my body. That's another one, especially from the fitness industry that I've been in for 40 years. I've seen a lot of that. I'll work on my body and then I'll be good enough, right? When I'm at this size, then I'll be good enough. I can accept myself when I drive this car or when I live at this address. I'll accept myself when I have that degree. And it's all externally based. We're grabbing at these external things that we feel, well, then I'll be enough. Then I'll accept myself. But they're very fleeting, and unfortunately, they don't fill the inner bucket, because this is work from the inside out. So that first point was self-acceptance as a step to becoming your own BFF. Number two, let's eliminate, or at least let's start to put a kibosh via awareness on our trash talk. Okay, that trash talk, that negative self dialogue, that critical spirit. I call mine Hilda. You can shoo her to the back seat. Reframe. Would you say that to a friend? How can I say that to myself with compassion? Now we want to be honest, and we want to call ourselves out too, but we don't have to be so harsh about it. And the third that we just talked about together was making choices. Being your BFF is making choices that are aligned with your values, that are aligned with your authenticity. That's you being you, living your story, not somebody else's story. And I think earlier in the thread, there was some discussion about not shoulding, right? So if we're shoulding, then we're probably not walking authentically. I want to save a little space for obligations. We are adults and we do have obligations. That's a different story than living a lifestyle of shoulds. Living a lifestyle of shoulds is really more or less, I would throw that in the codependent category. So they will be happy with me. So they will continue to be my friend. So living by the shoulds is not checking in with self, knowing what self really wants, and then living authentically. Very big difference between living by the shoulds and living authentically. Very big difference. But leaving a sliver, we do have obligations, right? I should go to work. I'm obligated to go to work. All right, leaving some space. Hopefully that's clear. There are obligations, right? We can't always authentically wake up and say, I'm going to the beach today, or I'm going paddleboarding today. Hopefully that is clear. So those were our 3 steps to becoming our BFF. And taking another glance here, I can't get back in stream. So just, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Colette is, Colette cannot get back into the stream. So she's asked me to just sign off. Okay. So for those of you that are still out there, I'm kind of in the dark getting the comments of as they slowly roll in. It's been a pleasure to talk with you today. And, uh, as Colette has asked me to, I will sign off from Rhonda Morales, licensed mental health counselor, and I'm now in the business of personal development. I'm thrilled about my coaching business at Emotionally Fit. If you'd like to like my Facebook page, my business page, Emotionally Fit Coaching. And you can follow me if you'd like on Instagram, emotionally_fit_coaching. And I will say goodnight for both myself, Rhonda Morales, and Colette, and see you next time. Bye for now.